Peace. Infinite waters diving deep once again. We're out here in nature. You can hear those birds, right? Breathing in that beautiful prana. We got a great question in. Let me read it to you. From a woman, she wrote this. How to avoid toxic thoughts. Oftentimes our suffering is a result of our thoughts and the story we tell ourselves. How can these thoughts be stopped and questioned? Sometimes they keep popping up non-stop and it's impossible to escape. It causes suffering, dwelling, depression. How can we get past anything if our thoughts take over? How can we regain control of our thoughts, challenge our thoughts, disbelieve our thoughts, and snap back into reality? What a beautiful question. Let's dive into it, right? Can I get a hello there? Now, you've probably heard me say before, our thoughts are no problem. It is the attitude we have towards our thoughts that can cause the greatest discomfort ever. Let's start with a story. A woman takes a train every day, but guess what? She can't stand looking at people on the train. It makes her feel depressed, looking at all of those miserable faces, right? So what does she do? Well, she listens to music on her MP3 player because this helps her to deal with her toxic thoughts she has about these people she's never even spoken to. Okay? Now, she's been doing this for the last 5 years. It might be time to take off the headphones, dear. Okay? No, of course not. She's gonna keep them on. Now what happens? One day, on her way to work, the hour-long journey, she checks into her bag and to her surprise, no MP3 player. Uh-oh. Now she's panicking. She has to spend that whole hour looking at all of those faces. She's freaking out. Now, what happened to her afterwards? She found the secret that what made her uncomfortable was an unresolved childhood issue of being in the presence of strangers. So what she did was challenge the BS. That's right, the belief systems. She broadened her perspective and she realized that not everything that she was perceiving was in response to her. Because many times when we have a lot of toxic thoughts, we are very egocentric. We think everything is about us. Then she realized she got a new perspective. She realized these people on the train probably had families and they were probably thinking the same thoughts about her. She realized that people had a lot of other things to deal with. So once she took the spotlight off herself, she realized she didn't even need the MP3 player. Okay? Unless she wanted to listen to her favorite song. Now, I've got a story for you. I make a lot of videos here in nature. Woo! Feels great. But a lot of the times, in my earlier days, I used to get very annoyed with planes flying. Okay, I had a lot of toxic thoughts about this. Then I realized one day, I also heard a siren. Then I realized I heard my next door neighbors talking. So I said to myself, who am I going to get mad at? I realized it was because I had this attitude of control. So I changed my perspective to say, actually, I like the sound of planes. Why? Because it makes me feel like I'm in an Indiana Jones movie. It creates some excitement. It allows me to free flow, to let go of control, to realize this is life. It's not all peaches and cream, baby. No. Another story before I really dive into it. A boy growing up was told by his parents that the female body was undesirable. So he based his whole life around this perception. So anytime he saw a woman, he would have toxic thoughts, and especially a naked woman. Okay, what changed was when he realized that actually the woman really creates life. She has that gift to create life. So therefore, the female body is one of the most beautiful creations in existence. So just by changing his perception, changing his attitude, he now changed this toxic thought. Whenever we're talking about negative thoughts, we always have to address the key catalysts first. So what are the main triggers? You see, thoughts can only exist in relationship to something. People will say, I've got a lot of negative thoughts. I say, okay, but it's in relationship to something. Sometimes it's the boss at work, the cat down the road. Sometimes it's even towards ourselves or people we've never met. So then you have to ask yourself, you have to question, why do I feel this way? That's the most important question you can ask yourself. Why do I feel this way? You will begin to see that we base our whole lives on a story. We become what we tell ourselves most often. If we say this is a toxic thought, that's what happens. You see, the thoughts we have affect the biochemistry of our body. So always remind yourself, thoughts aren't abstract. Thoughts are chemistry, neuroplasticity. Our brain changes based on our experience. What does this mean? Well, put it this way. When you have a negative thought, what happens? You wrote in how to avoid negative thoughts. You don't want to avoid negative thoughts because guess what? The thoughts don't go away. You have to move closer towards them so they don't have power over you. We have to start breaking out of the habit. I never let a plane stop me. Can I get a hello there? No, I'm gonna do this video. But a lot of us, we bow down towards defeat. We have to realize that when you break a pattern, because the negative thoughts we have sometimes are because we're in a certain environment, that's the trigger. Sometimes we're around someone who whispers into our ear, you're no good, I don't like this about you. When you realize what anybody says about you is only coming from their perception, you free yourself. When you stop basing your value on people's inability to see your true worth, you free yourself. What helped me along my journey was realizing that the mind itself is a filter. You see, we see what helps us, okay? It helps us deal with reality. We see what makes us feel comfortable. We don't want to see what makes us feel uncomfortable. So the secret is seeing things that make you feel uncomfortable until they no longer are a discomfort. So to get uncomfortable, that's what we call the shadow work we all need to go into. To realize that the negative and the positive are actually two sides of the same coin. The so-called positive thoughts make us feel great. But guess what? What would happen if you could flip around the negative thoughts and now you would feel double great? That's what we call alchemy. Transforming negative energy into gold. So for instance, when you don't like someone, I always tell people, put their picture on your fridge. Stick it on your fridge, so you're gonna have to wake up every day and you're gonna have to face that person. Okay? To begin with, you might have a panic attack. Watch out. But then as it goes on, guess what? They are no longer gonna have any grip over you. And that is how we free ourselves. You see, many of us, we externalize our power to people, places, and things. Once you take responsibility 100% for your internal condition, you free yourself. So I always tell people, visualize that person, that place, that thing that really pisses you off, okay? Now, how do you feel? Probably really tense and tight. You can't breathe. Start breathing. Woo! Start releasing the tension in your muscles, okay? Now you're going to realize that actually this person, place, or thing no longer bothers you. Many of us, we're so proud of our past, which doesn't serve us. The secret to becoming your greatest version is letting go of whatever no longer serves you. Sometimes people come to me with all their problems, 30 pages of problems. Gosh, no wonder you've got negative thoughts, because that's what you're focusing on. But also, bring me 30 pages of solutions. Let's talk business. Okay, going back to that, I always say whatever you focus on grows, right? So a lot of us think, okay, if I just stay positive, then guess what? I'm only going to have positive thoughts. But no. Have you ever not taken care of your garden for like 6 months and then come back home and see all weeds all over the place? Because whenever you neglect disowned aspects of yourself, what happens, baby? Yes, they grow. So whatever you focus on grows. But the other part is, whatever you don't focus on can grow even larger. So realize that you can't run away. You can't avoid it. You've got to face it head on. And then liberate yourself to let love guide you, not fear. Realize you have a choice to place yourself in an environment that triggers positive emotions within you. Realize you have a choice to surround yourself with friends that trigger positive emotions within you and around you, okay? Many times I used to get very annoyed at the media, okay? I had a lot of negative thoughts when I could see that it was all lies. But this was affecting me. I said no more. So whenever I saw a news story, people reading the news, what happened? What did I do? Well, I started to laugh more. I started to change my perspective to realize that this is one complete joke. Okay, I'm not going to buy into it. But at the same time, I'm not going to let fear consume me. I'm going to laugh about it because it's funny to me. And now it's not a toxic thought. It's the most liberating feeling in the world, baby, because I'm still going to shine regardless. I'm not going to let that ruin my day. Hell no. Many times we take ourselves way too seriously. The greatest way to stop overthinking is to let go of who you think you are. You see, many of us, we have this freeze moment. Many of us, we actually start believing our story. We start believing who we think we are. You see, the mind is wonderful. It's not about getting rid of the mind. It's about fusing the mind and the heart together to create synthesis, which is the true fusion of creation. Now, the mind, we live in a culture ruled by the mind, very linear. Now, we have to realize that the mind will tell us what we want to hear. It may not necessarily be the truth. So to let go of toxic thoughts, we have to start realizing the mind doesn't care about how you feel. The mind only cares about its own survival. So it will make you believe in something that is not true. It will make you see something that is not there. So don't trust everything you think and everything you see as the ultimate truth. Connect more to your heart space by moving into the power of now. Breathing in that beautiful prana. Realizing that, okay, if I have a negative thought, really and truly, there are no negative or positive thoughts. It's the attitude. Say to yourself that starting from today, this is not going to affect me because I give power to these thoughts. I am the power plant. Okay? No thoughts exist without our focus. No thoughts exist without our permission. So for every negative thought, okay, say it's perfectly fine. I own it. Own your weirdness. I have sometimes negative thoughts. Okay, I admit it. But then I replace it with a positive one. Because a lot of us, we are ruminators. We like to give ourselves a lot of work to do. So we think of an event, something that happened way off in the past, but look, it's a beautiful day today. The more grateful I became, the more abundant I became, and that's what's helped me become my greatest version. So just remind yourself, how much are you focusing on gratitude consciousness compared to how much are you focusing on negativity? How much are you justifying your negative thoughts? Some people say, I've always had negative thoughts and I'm always going to get negative thoughts. Well, guess what? You've just laid your own grave. Okay, life isn't perfect. Someone right over there is doing their garden right now. Is that going to stop me from making this video? Hell no. Because I'm an alchemist. I turn negativity into gold. It's all a matter of perception. It's all a matter of perspective. It's all a matter of seeing the bigger picture, baby. You see, whenever we torture ourselves by feeling ashamed, the key word ashamed, of having a certain thought, we become prisoners of our mind. When we're in the labyrinth of our mind, it's because we feel that there are right thoughts and wrong thoughts. What if I told you there is no perfect thought? Thoughts are like passing clouds. They give us no problem only when we stop judging them. Only when we're not ashamed of thinking any thought, then they are no problem. Whenever we feel ashamed, guess what? They come. Resistance makes stronger. For a long time, I didn't accept myself. I wanted to be like everybody else. I realized you don't have to go with the flow, be the flow. Do you know how many thoughts which are so-called negative, they come because we're trying to fit in. So this creates an energetic block within our body. Our thoughts aren't out there, our thoughts are within our whole body. So the greatest way to turn this negative thought into a positive one, or really to neutralize ourselves, is to move more into our body. Whether it's through walking, swimming, yoga, you will realize that thoughts, The toxic ones, they express themselves in every area of your body. The way you look, how do you feel? Can you loosen up? Or are you taking yourself so seriously? You see, thoughts are mirrored in every aspect of our lives. So you have to start looking in a very subtle way. What areas of my life are being mirrored by these thoughts I have? Every day I wake up and I say, life is beautiful, thank you. Woo! And that is mirrored in the aspects of my life right now because I'm in nature and it's beautiful. Have a wonderful day. Realize you can't control thoughts. Don't try. Allow thoughts, surrender to thoughts, and you will never have a problem with any thought you think. We're out here in nature, breathing in that beautiful prana, baby. Infinite waters, diving deep. Once again, stay well, stay healthy. Peace.